everyone, and in this video I'll be going over the Axure software. I'll be going over different sections of Axure and letting you know how to get started with your prototype. So we can start off with understanding a little bit about what Axure is. Axure is a design software used to make prototypes of websites and applications. It has a lot of capabilities to create a fully functioning prototype that looks and works like a website to present to your team or a client. It is also very easy to use and is very quick. You can create a prototype within an hour or two depending on the project size and your skill set. So I broke the Axure software into 7 different sections. There is the main menu and the toolbar, the pages, the library, the master, the canvas, the inspector, and the outline. And I'm going to be talking about each one of these separately. So I'm going to start with the main menu and the toolbar. So just to show you, this here is the main menu. So you have your file, edit, which is very similar to a standard Microsoft Office menu. I have a Mac, so on a PC it might look a little different, but it should, work the same. So you have your file, edit, view, project, which is more complex tools. You have your arrange, which are tools specific to elements or that you select on each page. So with these tools, you can arrange and select. And it's very similar to a right-click button. You have your publish to view the prototype on a browser, and you can also generate a Word specification instead of an online browser. You have your team here to create a team project when you're working with other teammates to create a prototype. Then you have your tools here. I'm going to start off with the select buttons right here. You have 2 different types of select options. The first one right here, just to show you, I have a few things on my canvas. So the first select button right here is, so for instance, if I select this toolbar right here, you see how where I highlighted just a little bit of the paragraph above. Even though I didn't highlight the whole paragraph, it still selects that part. Whereas the second select option, I have to select the whole paragraph for it to be selected. Even though it's overlaying the paragraph, it's not going to select it unless I highlight the whole thing. I like to use the second option just so, like, if I'm trying to do something real quick, it's not going to select anything that I don't want. But it really depends on your preference. Then you have your connect button right here. It's basically to connect different boxes and elements on your page. Then you have your pen, where you can start drawing vector-based pictures here. You have your zoom option. You can use this here to zoom in and out, or you can also use control scroll. You can also do control plus and minus. It's up to you. You just have these different options. And here you have the front and back. So for instance, here I have an image and a box right here. But if I want this image to go behind the box, I can just press back and I'll just move back. And if I want this box to go behind, I just press back. Another place you can do the front and back is in here in the outline. You can, for instance, this picture right here, I can move this behind the rectangle and it'll just move over. Then you can move it back It's the same thing. It's just different places you can use the front and back option. And I think you can also right click. Yeah, you can also right click, order, bring to front, back, so forth. And what else? Then you have your group button is, used to group elements together. You have your alignment. I really find this very helpful. So for instance, I create another box. Let me do it in a different color just so you can see. Okay, here. But I want to align it with the first box I have. Do you see the blue lines that appeared? That's the alignment option that I have on. So it's going to align with the top one, or you can do it right in the center, or you can even do it here. Hold on. See how it's aligning to the text box that I have right here. So that's a great tool to have everything symmetrical and parallel when you're creating a prototype to make it look neat. So that's that. You have your distribute button. You can distribute selected elements horizontally and vertically. You have your lock option. I like this option as well. For instance, you have a logo here. And if you're creating more than one page, you're going to have that logo on all your pages. Instead of reselecting an image and or a logo and placing it into a new page, you can just lock it. And when you're designing, it will not move. So it's locked unless you unlock it again. It's not going to move. This is the only time. So if you have a logo or a header, you can lock it and you can create your page and it will not move. See? It will not move. Everything else will move but the logo. So that's a nice tool to have. And then you have your left and right where it just minimizes the tools on the left and right. Axure environment is very customizable. You can also minimize, for instance, this library. I can minimize that way, or I can even make it more individual by pressing on this arrow button, and then I can just make it bigger, like bigger or smaller. I can move it around where I want it. So that's, great for when you want to just use this and just minimize your left and right. This is the only thing you need. Then, you have more space to work around. And if you wanted to, you want to put it back, just press the arrow button and it'll go back. And then here you have your preview. So you can press that and it'll show you a quick preview on the browser. Here's what I have so far. So it just shows up on your browser. So that's that. And then you have your pages, which you can easily add a new page by just clicking on this icon right here. Or you can right click, add, and then you can add folder or a new page before or after. You can also rename, you can remove, delete. You can also add sub pages. So I can just add a new page and then add it under page 2, for instance, and it'll just add a sub page. You can rename by, page 5. You can even add a new folder right here. You can name that. And then you can move pages under the folder as well. So it's just great if you're working with multiple pages, this is a great way to stay organized. Then you have the libraries where you have all sorts of shapes and icons and images. You have your placeholder. And you also have a search option where you can search what you're looking for. So I want to search for a text box. There it is. and then I just drag and drop. There's my text box. Then I have my master, where this is actually very helpful when you're creating a header or a footer for multiple pages. You don't want to recreate it on every page. You can just make a master header or a footer, and then you can just drag it to a new page, and it'll just, you know, be there, and it'll be consistent throughout all the pages. I'll show you more how to use or make a master when I make a sample prototype. Then you have your canvas, which is just like the main section. This is where all your elements will go to create a prototype. Then you have your inspector, where you make elements interact with other elements in your design. For instance, if you have a sign-in button and you want to direct that when someone presses the sign-in button and you want it to direct to a different page, you can do that here. I'll show you how to do that as well in a little bit. And lastly, you have your outline. This is just different layers that you used, and you can just move these around as well. So those are the 7 sections. Now I'm just going to show you how I created a template, or how I created a prototype. So for an airline's registration page, you would need a header, body, and a footer. So what I did first was I looked up a background for my body, and I'm just going to go here. I'm just going to drag the image, double click on the image, and I'm on my desktop area, and I'm just going to pick my background I just saved. Okay, I'm just going to minimize it a little bit. I think that's good. And then I am going to add a box on top. And anything that you use from the library, you can change the color to. Just click on the image, and then up here, you can choose any color you want. I'm just going to go with black, and you can also actually add borders. So I'm just going to do this, and then pick a color from the picture I just used. So I'm going to do a yellow. There it is. There's my border, and then this is going to be my header. I'm going to do is just the same thing for a footer. Add, drag and drop. I'm just going to pick a color. That's good. So this is just like you have your header, body, and a footer. So now I'm going to just work my way from top to bottom. So for my header, I'm going to include a logo. So I'm going to add a picture there. And then I'm going to add heading 1 for my title. And then I'm going to add another one for my slogan. And then I'm also going to include a search bar. So, wait, where is it? Right there, drop. And then I want to do a drop down option for the languages. And I'm also going to do a sign in button. For this, you can just double click and then you can just change it right there. I'm going to change the color of this as well. Oh no, I selected the wrong one. Did I get the wrong one? Oh, this is not right. This is the HTML. Oh, here it is. I'm going to change the font color. I'm going to do yellow for this as well. You can change your font as here. Okay, so let me just change the font to this as well. This is a little smaller. See how I'm using my alignment, the one in blue, to arrange where I want things to be so it's all symmetrical and parallel to each other. So the last thing I have to do here is just double click. I already created a logo last time, so I'm just going to use the same logo. Okay, so when it comes, now that I'm gonna personalize these a little bit more, so I'm gonna open up the right side. Okay, so this is going to be the search bar. So here on the left, right, you have your inspector area. So since this is a search bar, I want to just say search bar. So we're down here, it says hint. I'm going to type in, actually, yeah, search. See how it just popped up? I'm also going to include a search icon. There it is. I'm just going to drag, drop. Just minimize it to fit into the text box. Right here I have a drop-down option. When you press on it, you go back to your properties in Inspector, and you can add different options on in the drop-down list. So I'm going to press click on List Items and this plus button, and I'm going to add English, Spanish. And you can press what you want to show up as a default. So I want English to show up as a default. So I'm going to select the English and press OK. There it is. I'm going to show you in a little bit how it's going to look in preview. But before that, I want to show you another quick one. Here are the sign-in one, the sign-in button. But I wanted to actually direct people to a new page when they press on the sign-in button. How do I do that? Press on it, and then here you have your click and create link option. And then you can just pick where you want it to be directed. So I'm going to do page 5, for instance, and then done. Let's do a quick preview. Here's my preview so far. So here's my drop-down option for the languages. There's 2 different languages that I put up. And then here you can actually type in something. And the hint search will go away when I start typing. And then when I press on the sign in button, it should direct me to page 5. So there it is, page 5. I don't have anything on page 5 yet, but here it shows you that I'm on page 5. So that's how you just play around with the inspector area and see what you can do. It depends, there's a lot that you can do with it. Just experiment, press on different links to see what it does. There's the text here, text type, there, hint. Oh, you can also go to notes, and you can add a note. Let's go back to a preview and let me show you. See this little icon that popped up? And if you press on it, here is your notes. Here's the notes for users in the when they're using it. Any hints you wanna or notes you wanna leave the user, this is where you would do it. That's that. So basically just play around with and see what happens. And also here you have your style, which is very similar to what you have up here. You have your font sizes right here. You have your color, alignment, and everything else that's over here. It's just depending on how you like to use it. Okay, so that's the header, it's done. So I'm going to do the body real quick. So I'm going to add another box. Oh, another thing is, you see this little circle right above it? If you press on it, you can change the shape. You can do it in, instead of a rectangle all the time, you can change the shape to whatever. I'm going to do this one for now. And you can also add, here you can do linear. I'm going to do this color right here. You can just play around with different tools. You can even do the other way around. You can even fade it. Just going to leave it like that for now. Oh, you can even add shadows right here. There's a slight shadow. I think you can even increase it right here, depending on how you want it. For the body, I'm going to include just the last name, first name, phone number, and email, and the sign in button. But you can add other information that you might want to include. So registration. I'm going to try to put this in the center by, wait, not this one. There it is. That's the center. I'm going to add some labels. Instead of just dragging like 20 different labels that you might need, what you can do is select Shift Option and just drag. Oh, that isn't working. There. Shift Option or Alt. Just drag. So the first one, I'm gonna now I'm going to include the text box. And I'm going to do the same thing. Shift, Alt, so those are my options. I want to include a button real quick. These are at the center. If you want anything to say inside these text box, you can again go to your inspector properties. Type it in hint. And it's just gonna show up right there. I'm not gonna do it for all of them, just because it's just time consuming. Here again, you can create a link to go to a certain page. I'm going to do page 3 this time. Let's do a quick preview just to see. Here's my last name, first name, number, and then sign in. And it took me to page 3 like I wanted it to. So let's just finish it off with the bottom. I'm just going to do connect with me. So just link our icons. So change it so it's a little bit smaller. Oops. And you have different icons here too. So for instance, LinkedIn. And I'm just going to change it to a different color just so it's more visible. Right there, I can add another one. You can do about us. You just add different things over here. So this is just like a basic outline on how to do a prototype for a registration for, in this case, but you can do for any pages. Now you now understand like how to use these tools, and you can be very creative. Oh, I was going to show you how to create a master. So for instance, I want this header on all my pages, but I don't want to recreate them each time. So all you have to do is highlight everything on that and then right click, create a master. You can name it, and then you can place it anywhere or lock it to master location. So that means like it's going to go at the top. It's not in all your pages, it's going to be right at the top. So I'm going to choose that option. So now, for instance, I'm going to go to page 5, starting all over, but I want to include my header. So I'm just going to drag and drop anywhere, and it's just going to go to the top. And then you can just create your body and so forth. I can even do that for this right here. Just copy everything. I dragged. Right click, create a master, lock to master location, go to page 2. Oh, what page is that? Okay. Just drag and drop, and it's right here. Let me make it smaller so you can see. All I'm missing is the body, and I can create that by just adding an image that I saved earlier. Here's my new page. It took less time this time because I have my master keys, master pages, or master. You can do pages as well, master pages that you can just duplicate every single time. So yeah, this is how I did my first prototype. I can show you how mine looked like when it was completed. There. This is what I had. So if I do preview, I can type in to all these text boxes, and I have the state options with a couple of state options here. Zip code, countries, email address. I gave out a little format on how the email address should be, and then phone number. And when I press submit, and it takes me to the registration is completed. And if I go back to home, I have my contact us information, connect with us, about. I have my language options here, the member login. Oh, when I change it to Spanish, I created a page so that everything is in Spanish as well. I can go back to English. I have my search bar right here. What else? I think that's about it. yeah, hope this helped you guys get started on creating a prototype. Thank you.